Wow, that's pretty bright. That's going to be awesome once we get all the tools hanging up here. Hey, it's nice to see everybody again. So it's been a few weeks. Finally caught me a 2-day weekend, and I was out here working on the Hutch build again, trying to build some arms to support a light fixture over the toolbox, kind of light everything up that we're going to hang on the pegboard there. And of course, we could go buy something, but that's not the way we fly around here. So I got some 3/8 rod, and I kind of bent up this arm here. Of course, it's sagging a little bit under its own weight. We'll build a bracket, a metal bracket that we'll actually tack this to, and then it'll have some mounting holes that we can mount it to the hutch up top. But this is what I got going on so far. We're going to try to duplicate one of these, and then we'll move on making the plate. So I've had this little bender here for many, many years. These are pretty useful for the price. I don't know what they run nowadays. I've had this thing for probably about 10 years now, and it comes in handy, but you got to use it once in a while, or figuring out how to reuse it every time you use it is kind of a pain in the butt. So the first thing I need to do is bend this little hook on here, and I think I bent this pretty far around. I wish I would have done a little bit more marking, but we'll figure it out. That's a little overbent, but when we bend our other bend in here, I think it'll take some of that out. I just push this in here as far as I could get it. The worst part is making sure you don't dog it. Line it up. And these two bends I didn't reference where I bent to, so I kind of just got to guess at it. The rest of it, I was a little more thoughtful and made me some reference marks. So as far as this first bend, I just got to play with it until I get it right. Needs a little more bend in the hook. Let's see what that looks like. That's real close. Just a little bit more bend in the hook, and I think we got it. And then the rest of it should be a breeze. I think I could live with that. And like I said, I got some reference marks on my other one here. And that'll tell us where to do our offset bends at. And I may not be using this thing right, but really with any bender, it's all about reference marks. So if you know where you set the other one at and have that dialed down, and then put some reference marks on the angle you've been at, you usually could do a pretty good job of duplicating stuff. Now again, there may be a better way to use this thing, but I kind of just wing it. Like I said, I got me a reference marks right here, so I know where to bend to. See how that worked out. That is pretty dead gum close. Looks like I need to take just a little bit of bend out of this one. I can do that by wedging it in here. A little bit of pressure. Oh, now we got to put some back. Took too much out. And instead of loading it back in the machine, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to kind of, for fine adjustments, it's easier just to kind of wedge it in there versus trying to get it loaded back in the machine. Let's make our last bend here. We'll have this part done. Just don't bend it the wrong way. Ooh, I almost thought I messed up. That is pretty dead gum close. So now that we got that done, I think I'm gonna go in here and trim the top of this off. Make it to where it's not sticking up as far. And we're definitely gonna cut this back. I only want like a 1/2 inch or so sticking out. We'll see what happens. I got my pieces cut down. I'll have to go in and clean it up. And then I'm gonna try to sand it the best I can by hand. I actually have a method where I clean this round rod. I should have done it before I bent it, because now I can't do it, but oh well. I left this long because I want to build a jig that it'll slide down into and hold it perfectly straight when I tack weld the plate on here. And what I did with the plate is I have some 3x3 by 1/8 inch plate. I found the center. We'll drill a 3/8 hole in the center. And then these other marks, I'm going to drill a screw hole and countersink it. And what this plate will do is I'll slide it on here. We'll tack weld it, and then we'll cut what's left off. Probably put a little bit more weld on it. And then that way we can screw it right to the top of our hutch, and hopefully it'll hold the light for us. I'm going to drill these holes, and then we'll build a jig and see how it goes. Got my plates all cleaned up, rounded over the corners, countersunk the holes. I'm going to leave the lines on the front. I did clean up the back, but I'll leave these lines on the front for a reference point, so when I go to mount it on the hutch, I could draw me a line and then line it up and get it good and square. So how this is going to work is I took me a block of wood, went over to the drill press, drilled all the way through it so I have a nice straight hole. And then I can put my plate on here and put my hanger down in here. And other than lining it up, I know it's going to be really vertical, or as vertical as we're going to get it. I'll put a few tack welds on the front. We'll pull it out. I'll cut off the access, probably weld it, grind it, whatnot on the back to make it nice and strong. And then we should be ready to go find a fixture and figure out where we're going to mount these on the hutch. What I ended up having to do is going ahead and take a square and drawing me a reference mark on my block here. I actually have it turned upside down so gravity will help me. And now I got it to where I can step back and line this up. That's about the only way I'm going to get it where I want it, is by eyeballing it. And this will allow me to do that. And then I'm right here to where I could tack weld it when the time comes. Bracket turned out pretty cool. I think I did make one mistake though. I don't know how I'm going to get a screw in this screw hole. Flexible bit or something. I'll come in here and clean all the splatter off. But I want to be able to mount it first, or at least pre-drill the holes in the hutch, so that after it's painted, we can screw it right up. These will be painted a glossy black, and of course the hutch will be painted yellow. But right now I need a fixture, so I know how far apart to put them. That's what I want to go do now. I went and got me a fixture. Pre-drilled me some holes. Now we just got to mount our arms up here. See how it turns out. It looks pretty good. Now, like I said, I will clean these up. We'll paint them a glossy black. The hutch will be painted to match the toolboxes, just like we did the drill press stand. It's just we're mocking it up right now, trying to see how it's going to look. And one thing I need to know, do y'all like the galvanize? Or should I see about getting those powder coated too? I think they'd look real good, glossy black. And then all the accessories painted yellow. Y'all let me know in the comments. Well, that don't look too bad. I got to figure out what to do with the cord here. I'm thinking about either putting a power strip or maybe even a plug in right here, or I might put a plug up in the ceiling. Who knows? Let's see what it looks like though. Now that's putting off a lot of light right there. I really like it. I think it's going to be cool when I get my tools set up here. I can see in my drawers a whole lot better now. It's lighting up the drawers real nice. Even down here is getting a lot of light in those drawers so I can see what I'm looking for. And then if I need something small, if I'm working on something small, this worktop that'll be perfect for that. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do with the power. We're going to brainstorm on that for a while and move on to other things. So I bought this Milwaukee die grinder the other day. I paid $280 for it. Brought it home. I played with it a little bit, and it only has about 20 minutes, 25 minutes of runtime on a battery. It did come with 2 batteries, but for the cost of the batteries and the cost of the tools in this battery system for Milwaukee, I think I'm going to go swap it out for Hercules. I want to get a lot more stuff. I'm about to go exchange it right now or return it and go on a shopping spree. So I'll show you what I got when I get back. Well, I'm coming back empty-handed. I guess I'll have to go on my shopping spree tomorrow. Napa didn't have enough money in the drawer to refund me. Told me to come back tomorrow to get my money. So we'll have to do that tomorrow. So the next order of business is going to be my power tool rack here. I really like this rack. It served me well, but I don't know if I'm going to like it on the Hutch because it's big. It's going to take up a lot of space. So my plan is to modify this to where I can hang it on the rack. I'm going to have to turn this bottom rack into a shelf, probably a battery shelf, because I can't have tools. It just takes up too much room. It'd be too tall for the Hutch over here. So I think we're just going to do that temporarily. Give me a week or two to think about it. I've thought about dividing it into smaller racks and different things. I just don't know what I want to do with it. I haven't nailed down a design yet, but I do really like the way this has worked out for me. So we're going to get it off here. I'm going to modify it to hang on the rack for now and just try it out for a little while. So I got a huge plethora of just thingamabobs and pins and clips and brackets for this pegboard when I bought it. Got a really good deal on it. It even came with a bunch of power tool holders like that. But if I started putting all my power tools up like that, I'd run out of room really quick. So I've been trying to dream up a way to modify my power tool rack over yonder to fit on here. The first problem I come up with is I'm going to have to be an exact width. I'm not the exact width I need. I'd have to shrink it or grow it, which is the reason why I've been thinking about rebuilding it. Now I got plenty of brackets that if I could get it to the right width, I could drill through here, attach it to the power tool rack, and then clip it on here. Now these brackets, they hold a shelf. They hold a little metal shelf. They're one of the few brackets I actually want to keep. I was looking at these even this morning, straightening it out, drilling some holes through it, attaching it to the power tool rack. I'd be okay with that, sacrificing these brackets, but again, I'm just not the right width. And then I found these little doohickeys. Now they'll hold a 5/8 piece of material almost perfect. And I think if I put some structure on that power tool rack up high to where it'll hang from it, the gravity will hold it in place. So I'm going to modify that one just like I was saying. Let's see if we could get it hung up here. And the main thing I want to determine is if by taking a drill on and off that I don't knock the whole power tool rack off. I think gravity will help us with that, the weight of all the other tools, but that's what we're going to determine. So I'm hoping I didn't glue the ever living daylights out of this thing. We'll have to find out, but I think if I slice down to this nailer in a couple places, we might be able to peel it out. That's how I usually replace nailers or fix cabinets, is cut it in a couple places and then break it out, because we have it shot from the ends and down. So once you get the middle section out, you could usually peel these out without being too invasive. That's what we're going to try. My blade ain't long enough. Let me get a different blade. It's going to come right apart. Well, I said that. Oh, yeah. It looks like I used a little glue there. So that's telling me we'll be rebuilding this because I want to paint it and I don't want to have to deal with that. Well, we ended up with a little bit of damage here from the glue, which we're just modifying this for now just to see if we like it. We plan on rebuilding it, making it nice and making it paintable. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. Get these nails out of here. And then I'll have to cut me a new shelf to go in here. Notice I've showed you this before. I'm pulling them out of the end grain with just a wore out pair of dikes. But when they're shot through like this, to pull it out would be a whole lot more evasive. You can just break them off. And breaks them off pretty dead gum flush. So that's the way to do it, especially in your plywood and hardwoods or anything like that. Whole lot less invasive. So I cut me a shelf to replace the bottom rack. We're going to nail it in. This is just some 1/2-inch birch I'm going to use. I don't even think I'm going to glue it because this is all temporary. All we're trying to do is see if we like this size of rack. So I'm going to shoot it on here. I got some marks to line it up with from the first build. So I cut me a piece of plywood that fits just about perfect on these little clips here. And let me show you where we're going to nail it. So what we're going to try is to take our piece of plywood, nail it to the bottom of this shelf. When we flip it over, this will be towards the top. Hopefully gravity works in our favor between the weight of the rack and all the tools on it, and will help hold it in place. See if I can get a good shot on it without missing. Just like so. So after doing some measuring, I think we want our clips was 14 inches down. I think we'll go as 12.5, and this is less than 14. So I guess we're going to try here first. That's about 14.5, and we want them about 19 inches apart. That goes in there like that. So at 19 inches, our other clip will go right there. And I think we'll put a third one in just for good measure. Help with the support. Let's see how that works out. Just like so. Now that's looking pretty good. Now, one thing, this thing hangs a lot better on the other side. So, let's take it all down and move it over here. So this DeWalt rack's taking up quite a bit of room. I still have a lot of stuff I want to put up here. I got 3 more DeWalt tools that needs to go up here, and they're longer tools. I got 5 nail guns I want to put up here, my tape measure rack. I wouldn't mind my DeWalt charger. And like I said, I'm about to go on a shopping spree. I got 3 or 4 of the 12-volt Hercules tools picked out. They're going to be commonly used tools, so I wouldn't mind them being up here either. Of course, they're going to be geared more for welding or mechanicking. Who knows? I want to make sure I have plenty of room. We may have to find a new home for the radio because this amount of space would be perfect for my nail guns. So we're just going to have to keep dreaming this up, planning it out. I think right now, though, my goal is to get this tape measure rack hung up, and then we're going to call it a weekend. How I'm going to do that is I think I'm just going to pull it out and run some screws through these holes into the back of this tape measure rack and call it good for now. So y'all be sure to give me your suggestions, opinions, and your critiques in the comments below. This is what I've come up with so far. I may like your idea, I may not. You may like my ideas, you may not. But on this channel, no one's going to get offended. We're still going to be friends. We're still going to hang out. So don't worry about that. I'm starting a 60-60-50 schedule this week. So I'll work 2 60-hour weeks and then a 50 before I get another 2-day weekend. That'll give me plenty of time to stare at this and see if I like it or not, dream up something new, try things, measure things before we start building our real tool racks. We got quite a bit to do. We're going to need power on here. If we put the chargers on here, we got the radio and the light. All that needs power, so we got to figure out what we're going to do about that. So, long ways to go on this rack. But in the meantime, I appreciate you watching. We're out of town this weekend. We'll catch you in the next one. Hope everybody has a wonderful week or two, or however long it may be. I'll be missing y'all, and have a good one. So, this is the part of the show I was going to pop back up in here and show you all the Hercules 12-volt stuff I got after returning my Milwaukee die grinder. But unfortunately, it took me a little while to get it returned and get my cash back. But the biggest problem is the Hercules die grinder. It's MIA. No one could get one. Apparently, according to my 2 local stores, they haven't seen one since March. And I'm real reluctant of buying into that battery set or that battery group until I could get the die grinder. The die grinder is what I was really after. But I thought it'd be really cool to show you what all I could get in the Hercules lineup after returning 1 Milwaukee tool. And now I don't know what to do. On top of that, I lost out on the sale of the Milwaukee die grinder. I got it on sale for $280. It's normally $320 to $350, and I lost that deal too. So I'm getting real tempted to go out and buy a $2,000 air compressor just so I could have a little die grinder. I don't know what to do. Anyways, I appreciate you watching. Thank you for all the subscriptions. Thank you for the great comments, all the likes. In the meantime, we'll catch you next time.